Did the scheme make you think college sports are even more crooked than you previously believed?
All right, this happens to increase the crookedness of college sports all the time. Just when I think that I know how crooked something is, then I hear federal grand jury testimony about Creighton paying $100,000 for a starting player. That's basically the cost of a starting player in college basketball is $100,000 as revealed by federal wiretaps. So when you have this kind of story in front of you, I understand why people would say, is the NCAA even more corrupt than we thought it was? What I'm led to believe, based on what I've read here, because I haven't seen it, only among us, Bomani's the only one to have seen it. What I am led to believe is that this isn't a breach of the NCAA as much as it is of our social justice incarceration system, that a bogus federal indictment feeling type of thing that is meant to net coaches ends up instead just netting middle managers. And then, of course, they're black middle managers. So you are initially going after Rick Pitino, and what ends up happening is you are putting the full weight of the federal government on a bunch of black guys who are middlemen in what has been the system for about 30 years now.
Yeah, like I was fascinated in finding out that Creighton could get 100 G's to pay a player, right? Like the levels of these guys, because you got to remember, man, these aren't so many sure shots out here in this game. What they're basically doing is some Johnny Appleseed type stuff where they're trying to throw enough money at enough guys and hope that enough of them pan out that they'll come around on the back end and then you can manage their money for the rest of time, right? Christian Dawkins, understand in this movie, he's rolling with a guy who is like a dude that runs a bank. This is not just some old under the table, like shady AAU type stuff. This is the formalized game to try to get a hand on these dudes' money early so that later when they turn into guys who make 70, 80, 90 million dollars, you can get their cash. It doesn't make me think, though, this film that the NCAA is more corrupt than it did let me know the value, A, on players, the farther down that you go on the chain, and B, the value that somebody involved in this really places on coaches, because this started as a sting to try to get coaches. But do you think Book Richardson, an assistant coach, was like the coach that they were trying to get? They were trying to get head coaches. Apparently, they were specifically looking for Rick Pitino. They didn't come out with any of these head coaches. And then we're left with this video where we finally hear the tapes of Sean Miller talking and the tapes of Will Wade talking. And it is amazing that either one of them have jobs after this. There's nothing specifically damning that says absolutely that they were paying guys money. You don't have that. But we're not stupid. Those people aren't stupid. And if those schools wanted to fire those guys, it would be enough to fire them, as Rick Pitino, because he was kind of in the same boat. They could have kept him if they wanted, but they didn't, and they fired him.
Yeah, but to me, it's like the fact that they try, and I haven't seen it yet, but the fact that they tried to get these coaches and then they ended up having to settle, like Dan said, and like you were saying, Bomani, to get these middlemen coaches, the guys that they clearly were not going after, kind of does make me think that this stuff is such a mess. It's so tangled, and everything around it is so inept in so many different ways that it's never going to, it just makes me feel hopeless. Like every time I see a new thing about the money that's moving around the NCAA that we all kind of know and just acknowledge is happening, but everyone's kind of just like, what are we supposed to do? It's like, what are we supposed to do? And why are we continuing to make movies and stuff about it, but no one's actually doing anything? And it's because the people who are in power and the only people able to do anything are the people who profit from not doing anything about it. So it's this very defeated, it's just so the guy in this documentary, Christian Dawkins, basically talks about how he read a book about this, and that's what inspired him to even do this in the first place. So somewhere in the future, someone's going to watch this documentary and be like, I'm inspired to go make money. It's just this cycle. I'm so tired and I want to leave my house.
Yeah, and what they could do is pay people. That's all you got to do.
It.
Everybody knows that the money is going around. What you can do is just pay people. They're so dedicated to not even like to stopping people from getting paid as much as the idea. But what's wild about this is normally the Keystone Cops are the NCAA. The Keystone Cops in this case are the FBI in the Southern District of New York. They didn't appear to know a damn thing about how college basketball worked. Like Christian Dawkins even himself sniffed it out, except it never dawned on him that there would be an FBI investigation into this. Nobody cares about this stuff but the NCAA. But somebody in that, look, I watch Billions. The SDNY looks a lot better on TV than they did right here at Application.